An 11-year-old named Callan Perez once wrote a heartbreaking essay calling his dad Giovanni the Father of the Year. But less than a year later, inside a quiet airport bathroom, that very same father took his son's life before turning the gun on himself. How does a celebrated father become a killer? This is a tragic story of Giovanni and Callan Perez. On the afternoon of April 13th, 2026, the usual calm at the Elko Regional Airport in northeastern Nevada was completely shattered. Panic spread through the small terminal as reports of an active shooter came in. When first responders arrived, they found 37-year-old Giovanni Perez dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound near the ticket counter. But the horror wasn't over. Inside a bathroom nearby, they found his 11-year-old son, Callan, still clinging to life with multiple gunshot wounds. Police say the father and son went into the restroom together around 12:30 p.m., came out for a moment, and then went back in. It was in that bathroom that Giovanni shot his own son. Paramedics did everything they could, rushing Callan to the hospital, but he tragically died from his injuries before they even got there. In just a few minutes, a father and son were both gone, leaving behind a devastating scene in a town desperate for answers. What makes this case so gut-wrenching is a detail that surfaced after the tragedy. Less than a year earlier, Callan, who was bright-eyed fourth grader at the time, entered a Father of the Year essay contest. His entry was all about his dad, Giovanni, and it even won third place. It was this public declaration of love from a son to his father, a snapshot of a relationship that looked perfect from the outside. Family and friends remember Callan as an incredible, smart, funny, and kind kid. His essay shows just how much he looked up to his dad, painting a picture of a bond that makes what happened next feel not just tragic, but completely impossible to understand. The same boy who celebrated his father in an essay had his future stolen by him. So, what could have possibly led to that moment in the airport? To even begin to understand, you have to look at Giovanni Perez's life. He was a U.S. Army veteran, and investigators found paperwork in his car that confirmed not just his military service, but also his struggles with mental health. Police reported that Giovanni claimed he was suffering from PTSD. This was tragically confirmed in a Facebook post by Giovanni's own father, Frank Perez, who wrote that his son never got the help he needed. On top of these internal battles, there's also a bitter and ongoing custody dispute. Giovanni was locked in a legal fight with Callan's maternal grandparents. Authorities believe Giovanni was trying to hide his son from everyone, including his own parents. Things got so desperate that a missing persons report was filed out of Clovis, California, back in December of 2025. They were found a month later in Utah, but it was clear Giovanni was a man on the run, not from the law, but from his own family. Their troubled journey finally came to a stop in northern Nevada. They were apparently heading towards Reno when their rental car broke down in the town of Winnemucca. But then Giovanni made a puzzling decision. Instead of continuing west, he had the car towed 2 hours east, in the complete opposite direction to Elko, so he could rent another vehicle. And that strange detour is what brought them to the Elko Regional Airport, the place where their lives would end. Police officially stated that Giovanni shot his son for an unknown reason, and no single trigger was ever found. But you can't ignore the context. A father battling severe PTSD, who felt the system had failed him, spiraling in a custody battle, he was making desperate choices, and it all ended in an act of unforgivable violence. This case is just a brutal reminder of how fast a family crisis can turn into an irreversible tragedy. It feels like the system that was supposed to protect Callan failed him. What do y'all think are the biggest warning signs in cases like this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below respectfully. If you think these stories are important and need to be told, please consider subscribing. In the aftermath, a GoFundMe was set up to help the grieving family as relatives mourn the loss of both a son and a grandson. Callan's family remembered a boy who deserved so much more life. So many more laughs, and a future that was stolen far too soon. The story of Giovanni and Callan Perez is so much more than just a shocking headline. It's a devastating look at mental health, failing support systems, and the catastrophic damage from one father's internal war. And it's a tragic tribute to a little boy who, by all accounts, loved his father right up until the very end.